Hi everybody, my name's Toni and I'm here with the Everyday Counts program. And today we have an hour together for yoga. And we're going to be focusing on our posture. Because everything we do, more or less, is in the front plane of our body, which if you kind of took a knife and sliced this down from the crown of our head all the way down our body, everything happens in the front. We drive, we read, we watch TV, we talk to people, we eat, we text on our computers. Anything it is that we do is generally in the front part of our body. So over time, we tend to gravitate towards the front part of our body, which is how we find what is termed as tech neck, which is when people's heads are forward of their shoulders, or when the shoulders are rolled in. And there's, of course, all kinds of other things that happen, injuries, surgeries, accidents, all the rest of it. So the upside of this is that there are quite a few things we can do just to more or less tune into noticing the patterns of what we're doing and then to readjust that. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today. I have with me a blanket. This is just because that's what we have handy here. But a rolled, we'll come to this later when we're coming down on the floor, but a towel, anything like that that you have handy can be useful. It doesn't have to be a blanket, just something that is soft that we can roll, and we're going to be using that later. And I'm going to fling that over there, and we'll come to it when we come down to the earth after everything else. So I'm sitting on a block here just because that, I'll show you, just because that helps me feel more stable. Quite often when we try and sit on the floor, the first thing that happens, because our back body tends to be super tight, is that we start to round forward. So already our posture is taking a beating. So sometimes starting on a chair or adding some height like a meditation cushion, or you can, instead of a yoga block, you could have a couple of hard back books, maybe wrapped in a towel to sit on, anything that's comfy really, to raise the hips up. That means that everything in our hips and our lower back is a little bit easier. And don't feel like you have to sit cross-legged. This just happens to work for my body. And again, starting in a chair is awesome. So how do we start with our posture? Well, first of all, we need to notice what's going on. So let's take a big breath in. Exhale it out. Take another couple of those and feel free to close your eyes or soften your gaze and start to tune into this moment. And we do that by simply noticing the support underneath you, noticing the places that you're seated, everything that the earth is holding you at, with, and then from there, rooting into that support. So you can wiggle wherever you are, just kind of waking up your awareness to that. And then we're going to root down into the earth, which just means kind of pressing down. You can even take your fingertips to the chair or the floor, or bring blocks up, so you're, depending on the length of your arms, depending on what you're seated on, to bring the floor or that support to you. And we're going to lift up from there. So this is vital. We're rooting down like a tree growing down, and then that rebounds up through our spine, and we're lengthening through the spine. And it's going to be different for each and every one of us. We're all put together differently. But imagine that you could literally create just a little bit of space between each vertebrae. Up through the base of the skull and the crown of the head, reaching up to. Now as you're seated, wherever it is that you are seated, notice if you're sitting more to one side or to the other, more forward or back in your pelvis. No judgments, no stories, just simply notice. And then see if you can readjust yourself to even that up. So if you're seated more forward, drawing your torso back, If you're seated more to the right, readjusting more to center. And then from there, from that rooting to rise place, roll the shoulders, both shoulders, up, back, and down through some circles. And you might notice that one shoulder is very different from the other. We're not concerned about that. Our bodies are very few bodies are even side to side. There are always disparities. And then the next time they roll back and down, we're going to leave them there. Consider widening through the collarbones. And notice how this feels. Notice where your shoulders are in relation to your hips. So if they're forward of the hips, consider drawing the shoulders back so they're balanced over the hips. And for many of us, this already feels a lot because we're so used to shifting our weight forward. Now from there, we'll draw the chin in somewhat. So notice here where your head is in relation to your shoulders and hips. Ideally, the head is at a central place so we can balance our head, our heart, and our hips over one another. But the reality is, for most of us, that's not the case. So consider drawing the head back as if you had a wall behind you and you could sit with the base of your skull, top of your shoulders, and the back of your pelvis leaning up against a wall. Take a big breath in. Keep the alignment, soften the muscles, and do that for a few breaths. Big breath in. Exhale, release tension where you can find it. And then bring the breath back to its natural, easy breath. And simply notice how this feels here. Rooting to rise. Having simply brought awareness to where our head, heart, and hips are in proprioception, kind of where our body is in space. And then we tune in and notice interoception, how it feels for us. And if it feels challenging, and if the breath is not easy, then we don't need to adjust everything to be perfect. We're not interested in perfect. We're interested in working towards readjusting those patterns that we're normally in. It doesn't have to happen overnight. So if bringing the shoulders forward gives you a whole lot of ease, then go ahead and do that. So we're rooting to rise. Take a big breath in again. Exhale it out. And then bring the lips together, breathing in and out through the nose if that's comfortable. And if it's not, no big deal. Steady breath. Always working within the boundaries of how your body feels today. So always knowing, again, this doesn't have to be figured out overnight. From here, we're going to take our nose over towards the right side, keeping the torso steady. The only thing that is moving here is from the collarbones upwards. And then from there, we're circling that left shoulder. One direction. Now, a lot of our issues are up in our neck and head. So the root of the neck comes actually from the rhomboids, which is between the shoulder blades. So we're starting to tune into the rhomboids. Let's go around in the opposite direction with that left shoulder, and that may feel a little weird, a little awkward. And then from there, coming back to center with that shoulder, and then we're drawing the head to center and over towards the left. Same thing here, right shoulder circles. Taking your awareness to those muscles stretched between your shoulder blades, and notice if you can tune in to the rhomboids, which are starting to get into this movement. We'll take it around in the opposite direction, and that may feel like it's a little more awkward. Last one here. Coming all the way back to center. Right fingertips coming down next to you, left palm turns up. On the inhale, up from the elbow, exhale, turning that palm down. Tilting over towards that right side, and you can take any blocks underneath you to draw that floor up towards you. Option to take that from the shoulder, easy joints. And with that support of the right hand, option to take it all the way over to one side. Now notice what's happening here. We want the shoulders stacking. So that right shoulder, left shoulder, notice if it's coming forward and your heart is facing the earth. If it is, open up the armpit towards the ceiling. And again, noticing our patterns as we're going over to one side, trying to keep our head, heart, and hips in one line. Collarbones wide. Next time those fingertips come down, we're going to the other side. Right palm turns up, inhaling up, exhaling down from the elbow. Collarbones wide, head, heart, and hips stacked as best as possible. Option to move from the shoulder. Torso stays as stable as possible, and the option is that the torso comes over towards the left, but notice what's happening, especially in that right shoulder. Naturally, it kind of wants to come forward and over. See if you can keep it stacked over the left shoulder, collarbones wide. Just starting to tune into the patterns of our movements. Another 2 here, supporting yourself with that left hand. Coming all the way back to center. Once again, wide collarbones, shoulders soft and back and down. Hands coming into the center of the heart. This is the inhale. On the exhale, we're turning the fingertips forward, rounding, belly comes in towards the spine, gaze comes down. That's the exhale. Inhale, back to center. We've got an extension, so there's a lifting up of the heart. Exhaling, rounding. Inhaling back to center, meeting the thumb with the sternum. Inhaling back to heart. Now we're getting into this extension and flexion of the spine with movements through the rhomboids there, through those muscles between the shoulder blades. Adding on that next exhale, we're going to stay wide and we're going to inhale the arms out. So we've got a lifting through the heart, extension through the spine. That's the inhale. Exhale, palms come towards each other. Inhale, back to center. So we're adding on. This is the inhale, exhale, forward. Inhale, wide. Exhale, forward. Inhale, back to center. With your breath, you don't have to match mine or anybody else's. Notice what's happening in your body, sensations, especially through the neck, the upper back, the shoulder area, and get used to moving with the breath through the extension and flexion. As much or as little as you want to. If this doesn't suit you, of course, you don't need to do it. Another couple of breaths here, as big or as small a movements as you like. We've got one full movement here. Coming all the way back to center, releasing the hands down, rolling the shoulders back and down, rooting down to rise. Collarbones wide, shoulders soft and away from the ears. Head, heart, and hips stacking over one another as best as possible, as if you have that imaginary wall behind you. Coming back to the awareness of your body, noticing how this feels. And after that movement, we're going to come over onto hands and knees now and start to strengthen and notice even more. So I'm going to put my hair up, and then I'll meet you over hands and knees. If you need any softness under your knees, then please go ahead and take that. Spreading the fingers really nice and wide, knees at a comfortable distance, toes tucked or untucked. We're going to push into our hands and lift up through the back of the shoulder blades. And then the belly draws in too. But we're not tucking the tail, it's a neutral spine here. Gaze is coming forward. And imagine that head, heart, and hips in one line. Steady breath. And then coming into cat and cow. So on the exhale, when you're ready, pushing into hands and knees, and we're rounding the back body up towards the sky. That's the exhale. Inhale, belly drops as we lift through the sit bones and through the heart. Exhaling and inhaling. Notice what's happening, especially through the entire spine here. What we want is the steadiness and control of the movement. So rather than just flinging your body between cat and cow, think about this as a transition. Transitional pose, so the inhale is the entire inhale, the exhale, the entire exhale, not simply getting to the top and the bottom of the breath. Notice the challenging areas for you. Notice the places of ease. Nicely done. And then coming back to a central place and even taking those knees in towards each other for a little more stability. I'm going to take that left leg back behind us, toes to the floor. Inhaling forward, exhaling back, just to build awareness through the back of that left leg. And if it suits you better to have your forearms down because wrists are sensitive, same thing goes here. Belly's drawn in, back of the heart lifted, and the head is at a neutral place. Padding under that right knee if you need it. And then we're going to come to center. Great place to be right here. Once again, we're lifting the whole back body as if suspended by strings up towards the sky. Option to extend out the right arm. Starting to build strength here. If you want to add on, this is the inhale. We're extending out through the left leg, through those right fingertips. On the exhale, drawing the right knee or left knee, right elbow in towards each other, pushing into the foundation and lifting up from that. That's the exhale. Inhaling, extending, exhaling, flexing. Now there's an option to stay here. Option to keep the left or the right hand down, hover the left heel. Inhale, extending, exhale, drawing in. We want stability through the trunk. Option to hover both arm and leg. Inhaling and exhaling. Slow and steady. 2 more. And when you're ready, coming all the way back to center. Any cat and cows, go ahead. Same thing, other side. Root through the hands, drawing up through the back of the head, the back of the heart, and the belly draws in too. Extending out the right leg, patting the left knee if needed. Rocking forward and back to wake up the back of the leg there. Inhaling and exhaling. Option to stay here. Of course, forearms is always an option. Option to stay extended. Option to send the left fingertips out too. So we have a little less support here. So the support is coming through the center of the body. That's the inhale. Exhale, drawing the knee in. Inhaling, extending. Adding on, that's the inhale. Exhale, knee and elbow come towards each other, rounding through the back body, extending out on the inhale. Adding on, fingertips are down, but the foot is hovering. That's the inhale. Exhale, curling. And the add-on here is arm and leg are extended. Steady and smooth. 3 more. Last one. And coming all the way back to center. Circling through the spine, big barrel rolls in one direction and big barrel rolls in the opposite direction. From here, we're going to walk those knees back a little or the hands forward. Cat and cow here. So on the inhale, we're rocking forward a little, like we've got extension in the spine, so we're going to arch in the back. And on the exhale, rounding as the hips come towards the heels. Inhaling and exhaling. So this is an extended cat and cow. And then when you're ready, we're coming all the way back to center and drawing the knees and hands back to our more normal cat and cow tabletop length. From hands and knees, we're going to come down onto forearms. Now, palms can be wide, about shoulder distance apart, or your palms can be interlaced, your choice. Elbows are more or less under the shoulders. And we're going to draw the knees back a little and towards each other. Toes are tucked here. Push into your elbows, drawing the shoulder blades up towards the sky and the belly draws in too. Back of the head is in line and we're drawing forward and back. Just easing into what this feels like. Next time, bring the shoulders over the elbows. This is where we stay. Shoulder blades drawn up towards the ceiling, and once again, belly's drawn in too. Extending out the left leg. Now, as you do that, you may feel like you need to adjust your foundation underneath you. Please do whatever it is that you need to feel stable. Inhaling and exhaling, those right toes are tucked here. Option to stay here. Option to hover the right knee. Drawing into the back of the body so those rhomboids are really connected. Shoulder blades are steady, belly's drawn in and the breath is steady. And on the exhale, we're going to take that knee down. Drawing the left knee in, same thing, other side. Right foot draws out. Readjust yourself if you need to, and readjust the back body so everything's drawing up. So we're building strength here and awareness. Option to stay here. Those left toes tucked. Option to hover the left knee. Steady breath. And on the next exhale, we're going to take that down. Now you can go from side to side, or the next option is we're going to send that left leg out, readjusting, shoulders over elbows, belly's drawn in, back of the heart lifted. Hover the right knee and extend out. So we're coming into a full forearm plank. Steady and stable. Another couple of breaths here. Back of the heart is lifting. And on the exhale, knees come down and back we are into child's pose. Awareness to the back body. Coming all the way back up to hands and knees. And then from here, we're going to draw that right leg forward and give it a little help with your hands if you want to. From here, left hand comes to the inside of that right leg, patting that left knee if you need to. On the inhale, we're extending the right arm up to the sky, exhaling down. Inhaling and exhaling, following the gaze with that right hand. And the option is here to extend up and stay. Now imagine drawing the head back, drawing the collarbones wide, exactly what we were doing earlier. Shoulders are back and down. And we're here for a few breaths. Even option to take that right arm back behind you and extend through the pectoral muscles, the front of the upper chest, drawing the shoulder blades towards each other, staying for the last 2 breaths. And on an exhale, we're taking the hands back down to the earth. Up onto the right thigh, and up we come. Patting the left knee, any amount that you need to. And then we're rocking the hips forward and back. Playing with the pelvis, some pelvic tilts there, and then we're coming to a place that feels like center in our low lunge. So again, you can play with those pelvic tilts, and notice if you can come to a central place. Adjusting your foundation so it feels more stable. Fixing your gaze will help with balance. And then imagine here, we've got that imaginary wall behind us. So back of your pelvis, top of your shoulders, back of your skull is coming to meet with that back wall. Steady breath. Front ribs drawn in. On an inhale, option to take the arms up. Palms come towards each other. On an exhale, we're cactusing the arms, drawing the elbows back as much as is comfortable, but consider the power coming from between the shoulder blades. So we're drawing the shoulder blades towards each other without popping the ribs forward. So the power on the inhale and the exhale is coming from between the shoulder blades. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Elbows can come down and back, palms can come back any amount. And that's going to be different for each of us. But the spine is neutral. So if we have that imaginary wall behind us, really tuning into what's happening in the back body. Last one here. Hands come towards the thigh, take a breath. On the exhale, we're coming down, hands to the inside of that right leg, drawing the right leg round and back. Any movements here you need in the spine, go ahead. And then we're taking that left leg round and forward. Give it a little bit of a help if you need to. Pad the right knee. Right hand supporting underneath the right arm. On the inhale, we're drawing the arm up, exhaling down. Great place to be, pulsing up and down. If you want to add on, the left arm extends, and here we are. Shoulder blades roll back and down, collarbones are wide, and we're reaching up towards the sky. From here, option to draw the left shoulder back, and the left hand's coming back behind you. So we're opening up through the chest here. Gaze can come back by the thumb, inhaling and exhaling, and we're really opening up through the front body here. Stay for another 2 breaths, always coming out if you prefer, or adjusting anything. And then on that exhale, we're coming all the way back down to center. Hands up onto that left thigh, and up we come. Adjusting anything you need to with the foundation to feel stable. Hands on the front of the thigh, and we're just rocking forward and back, adjusting anything to make us feel more comfortable. Coming to a central place, checking out some of those pelvic tilts. Coming to a central place, rooting to rise. We're still getting that lift through the crown of the head, each vertebrae, getting some space. And then imagine that wall, so the back of your pelvis, the upper shoulders and the back of your head are leaning against that imaginary wall. And this right here may be challenging enough. Keeping your gaze fixed on a place about eye height will help with stability. Adding on, arms come up, palms towards each other as wide or as close together as your shoulders feel comfortable with. The inhale is the length. On the exhale, shoulder blades draw towards each other as the elbows come back and down. Collarbones wide. Inhaling, keeping the collarbones wide, we reach. Exhaling, drawing back. Front ribs are drawn in so the spine is neutral. Head, heart, and hips placed one above the other. And again, the power is coming from between the shoulder blades. So all of your awareness here in the back body, noticing what's happening. Last one. Hands come to the thigh. Take a breath in. On an exhale, hands come down towards the earth. Left leg comes around and back. Knees go wide. Big toes come towards each other. If you need a pillow under your seat, please take it as you come back into child's pose. Supported forearms, stacked fists, palms, or down to the earth. And you can adjust your knees to come closer towards each other. You'll get into your lower back more, wider. It'll be more of a flat back. So you get to decide what you need. And I want you to take all of your awareness in your back body as it's rounded here. And breathe into the back body. Breathe into your ribs on the back of your body. Upper shoulders, neck, back of your head even. And notice how your back body rises and falls with your breath. So much of posture is tuning into the back body because everything we do, again, is in the front plane of our body. In your own time, coming up to hands and knees, tucking those toes. We're going to meet standing. So walking the hands back towards your knees and in your own way. Coming all the way up. So here we are standing, and I have a wall behind me, which will be helpful. So if you have a wall that you can access, that's great, and if you don't, no big deal. So, mountain pose. Feet are a comfortable distance apart, and that's going to be different for each and every one of us. So rooting down into the support underneath you, just like we kind of did when we were seated. Imagining that maybe you're standing in sand and you could kind of dig down a little deeper, sending those imaginary roots down. From there, rooting to rise up through the upper body, up through the crown of the head. Palms face me, shoulder blades roll towards each other as we roll the shoulders back and down and the collarbones go wide. Belly's drawn in. So much of the posture is coming from those internal muscles wrapping around, kind of like a corset around our lower abdominals. Rooting to rise. Just get used to the breath here, steady and smooth. Now, if you do have that wall behind you, you could shuffle back to it. The seat is on the wall. Shoulders, upper shoulders roll back towards the wall, and the back of the head is resting on the wall too. Palms towards me, and again, if depending on your range of motion, maybe the palms can come back and the back of the hands are on the wall too. Drawing the front ribs in. Steady and smooth breath. And just notice what that feels like here. Inhaling and exhaling. Tune inwards. Notice where it is in your body you're feeling tension. And seeing if you can soften something to ease the tension. And for a lot of us, it'll mean bringing your head slightly more forward. Again, nothing needs to be solved overnight. We're working towards better patterns in our body. Rooting to rise and finding that width, especially across the upper shoulders and the collarbones. Now, taking the elbows, bending the elbows, taking the palms out, and then we're going to draw the elbows down as if they could kind of tuck into our ribs, which they probably won't. Now, for most of us here, depending on your range of motion, your hands, if you are next to a wall, are not going to come back against the wall. No big deal. This is the exhale. On the inhale, we're drawing the hands up, keeping the same bend in the elbows. That's the inhale. Exhaling down. Now, as we do this, what we like to do, as we draw the elbows down, is to peacock or draw the front ribs forward. What I want you to bring attention to is knitting those front ribs together as you're getting the range of motion through the elbows. This gives us feedback on patterns that we work with in our body. And maybe you might notice the head starting to change, coming forward and back. Inhaling and exhaling, keeping the movement as steady and smooth as you can. So much of the root of the neck comes from between the shoulder blades. It's a great thing to do just a couple of times a day to get that head, heart, and hips stacked over one another. And now head, heart, hips, and heels. And from there, taking the arms down, rolling through the shoulders, and then coming forward. From there, we're coming into eagle pose. So, it's a whole lot of different options here. Option number one is just to take the shoulders. So, right hand comes over onto the left shoulder, left hand comes overhead, and here we are. Elbows can be down. That often constricts the breath, so lifting the shoulders up, if that's comfortable for you, is a great place to be. Option number two is to take the hands in towards each other like a prayer position, and we're drawing the elbows in towards each other, getting that length across the back of the shoulder blades. Inhaling and exhaling. Great place to be right here. Or, last option, is the right arm underneath the left, and we're bending those elbows, palms, backs of the palms towards each other, or binding, your choice. The further down the elbows are, no matter where you are, the easier it's going to be in the shoulders. The more you draw up the elbows towards your face, the more challenging it's going to be. And if you have your hands in prayer or bound, the further forward those hands are from your face, the more challenging it's going to be in the shoulders too. Inhaling and exhaling, great place to be. Now, option to stay here. Option, if you want support, is to rest the upper body against the wall. And then we're drawing down, bending through the knees. Supported eagle pose. Option to take the right leg over the left. Option to cross over at the knees, and you're using the support of the wall for you to find your eagle. That right leg can be out or drawn in, your choice. Everything drawing into center, but I want you to consider breathing into the top of your shoulders here. Inhaling and exhaling. If you do not need the support, then you're coming forward, bending through the knees, right arm, right ankle over the left, or right knee over the left, and here we are, full eagle. Wherever you are, you're breathing into the top of the shoulders. You got another 3 breaths wherever you are. And again, the further up and away those elbows and hands are from your face, the more challenging it is. On the exhale, we come out with the legs and release from the arms. Coming back into mountain pose, noticing how that feels. Steady breath. Second side. Coming back to the wall for support if you want to. Take the arms that you had on the previous one. So, left arm over towards the right arm on top. You can take prayer, in which case it doesn't really matter. Or left arm under right, back of the palms or the binding of the hands. Option to stay here, breathing. Taking the upper body to the wall, including the back of the head, knees towards each other. You've got the option here of taking the left leg over the right at the ankles or the knees. And we've got the support there. The further up you draw your elbows towards your shoulders, and the further forward your hands are, the more challenging it's going to be through the top of the shoulders. Option to stay here. Supported eagle or unsupported eagle, your choice. And we're breathing into the top of the shoulders, considering what's happening in the arms, maybe lifting them up, maybe drawing them down. Steady breath, 3 more breaths here. The focus here is on the top of the shoulders, lengthening through those rhomboids. Exhale, unbind the legs, unbind the arms, mountain pose. Noticing if there's any different sensations through the upper body. Steady and smooth breath. Nicely done. And then from there, we're coming down to the floor, and I'll meet you there. Hi again, here we are down on the floor, and I have that blanket or towel we mentioned earlier. So what we're going to do is take that blanket or towel out to a kind of rectangle, and then you're going to have to play with this a little bit. So depending on what's going on in your body, you're going to take that rectangle at least mat distance apart-ish, and then we're going to roll it up so we've got some kind of roll or sausage kind of shape. We're going to set that off to one side, maybe above your mat. And then we're going to come down all the way to our back. If you need any softness underneath you, please do. If you know that your head is drawn way forward off your shoulders, please take a pillow with you too. And we're going to come down all the way to the floor. And again, if that pillow is needed underneath your head, then please use it. Otherwise, readjust yourself, knees to the sky, feet to the floor, so you're feeling comfortable. And the arms are going out in a cactus. So around about shoulder height, the elbows, and then the palms up towards the sky. Now the back of the hands may never get to the floor, no big deal, but this is what we're kind of tuning into. So once again, roll the shoulders back and down, just like we did when we were seated and standing. And then wide collarbones. And we're just going to check out the range of motion here. So the inhale, the palms are up towards the sky. Pivoting, the elbows stay on the floor. We're going to exhale, take the palms down towards the floor, palms down, pivoting from the elbows. And there's a really good chance those palms aren't going to come anywhere near the floor, but they might, depending on your range of motion. Inhaling wide, exhaling, turning those palms down, kind of like a scarecrow. Inhaling to cactus, exhaling down. Now don't be surprised if one side feels very different from another. Gravity is helping us here, keeping the back of our head, upper shoulders, and our spine kind of rooted to the floor. Notice if you're changing anything in your spine to make that range of motion seem a little bigger and kind of keep the spine quite neutral. So we're just checking into our shoulders. Now from here, we're going to take one palm up and then one palm down. Doesn't really matter which one. Then we're going to go side to side. Inhaling and exhaling, noticing how that changes things up. Just simply noticing. If you want to, if you're trying to lift your shoulders or your head or your spine for this to happen, just notice that and try to keep everything else neutral and the movement being in the shoulders. And then from there, both arms come down, resting next to you, palms to the sky. Let the shoulders be soft and heavy. Take a breath in and exhale it out. Nicely done. From there, I'm going to take that roll, which should be close to you, and sitting up a little bit, we're going to slide that roll exactly where the shoulder blades are behind this. And this roll is going to be different for each of us. So, soft roll right underneath the shoulder blades themselves. So the shoulder blades are fully supported here by that roll. And the shoulders resting on the earth, and you may need a pillow underneath your head depending on what's going on. I'm going to take those arms out in a T or a cactus, again, whatever feels more comfortable for you. Now, if this is not happening in your body, take a softer, smaller roll between your shoulder blades. And for some of you, depending on what's going on, it may feel enough just to have a folded blanket. So, if that's the case, maybe just a folded towel, kind of like this, so it's a little flatter. Or if you're not feeling enough, you can take that roll the opposite direction, making sure it's smooth, and make that sausage, that roll, a little bit bigger. So you get to decide. One is not better than the other. The most important thing is the shoulders are on the earth, head supported by a pillow or the earth, and the shoulders can lay soft. And from here, our shoulder blades are supported, knees towards each other, feet a little bit further apart, constructive rest. And from here, allowing the shoulders to fall heavy onto that support underneath you. This is readjusting the alignment of our body. And again, the awareness here is in the back body. Front body gets super tight as we draw everything forward, so we're opening it up. And the back body gets really tight because we're drawing everything forward and it has to compensate for that. So it gets rigid and tight as well. Any adjustments you need to make here, you can take those legs long if this suits you. I'm going to be here for a few moments. So when you're ready, take a big breath in. Exhale it out like a soft sigh. And we're going to take another few breaths just like that. Soften the gaze, close the eyes if that's comfortable for you. And then take the breath back to its own natural, flowing, steady inhale and exhale. And from here, I'm going to take 20 breaths in and out. So on the next inhale, count the number 20. And exhale 20. And continue like that. Next one being 19, in and out. If you lose count, simply come back to 20 and I will count for you. Our breath is different, so it'll be more or less. With every exhale, imagine that you could release tension in your body, especially through the front body, and allow the back body to be supported here. Always making any small adjustments to feel better, more comfortable, more at ease. More or less another 10 breaths in and 10 breaths out. And take your breath to particular areas in your body that feel tight or tense. And imagine every exhale could soften and relax and release tension. Another 3 breaths in and out in your own time. After your last exhale, whenever that is, if your legs are long, we'll draw the knees to the sky, feet to the floor. Option here is to roll to one side and roll that blanket out from underneath you, or to simply lift up your own way and take that blanket away. And we're coming back to the ground. Knees to the sky, feet to the floor, without that support underneath the shoulder blades. And feel the effects of that. Hands can come and rest on your belly or at the side of your hips. And from here to strengthen into that. Lengthen out your spine and draw your knees up towards your chest. Taking the feet off the floor, give yourself a little hug here. And then we're going to draw the knees up above the hips, drawing the back body into the earth, very much the way that we did with the wall. You can keep the heels down by the seat or take the feet up around about knee height. And arms are coming up as if you've got a big beach ball above you, drawing the shoulders down into the earth and letting the arms rest deeply into the sockets of the shoulders. From here, dying bug. So we're going to extend out the right leg and the left arm comes up overhead any amount. That's the inhale. Exhale back to center and opposite. Left leg, right arm. Now as you're doing this slowly and steadily, consider drawing the back body down into the earth. Don't take the leg or arm far enough that the ribs start to pop out at the front. So we're keeping everything stable and still, building strength where we just lengthened. Inhaling and exhaling, keeping this one breath to one movement, or inhaling and exhaling. Arms and legs going in opposite directions. But the back body steady and stable. Back of the head, top of the shoulders, through the rib cage and the pelvis, everything rooted down to the earth. And the next time we come back to center, drawing the knees in towards each other, giving yourself a little rock and roll from side to side. Arms in a cactus once more. Knees go to the sky, feet to the floor, feet wide on your mat. Then we're just going to rock the knees, windshield wiper them from side to side here. Inhaling and exhaling, keeping the shoulders rooted. So the twist here is coming from the lower body, from the pelvis, getting in through the lower back, but trying to keep the upper back and the ribs as rooted to the earth as you can. From here, constructive rest, bringing the knees in towards each other. Arms can be wherever they're comfortable, or resting in a place that suits you for your relaxation. If there's a recliner or a bed close by and it's more comfortable for you, if you want to be on your back, on your belly, you can take that. Otherwise, after all that, I would recommend being on your back if it's comfortable. Maybe the legs go long. And as you get settled, maybe taking an extra layer or an eye pillow, you go ahead and do that as I come up to guide you. So settling into your own place of rest here. Feeling that support underneath you, and especially if you are lying on your back, take a big breath in and deepen into that support underneath you. Allow gravity to do its work. Settling in. Feeling that support underneath you. And allowing tension to dissolve as you trust it. Allowing your bones to get heavy. And this is where everything you've done, focusing on your posture, gets integrated on a cellular level into your body. And the key is to allow yourself to release expectation, release tension, release thoughts, and release your body so that integration can happen. As if your whole body were like candle wax that were melted down into the earth. Releasing more and more with every exhale. As your body settles into the stillness, simply notice how you feel. Notice your body. Notice your breath. And allow the breath to become a little longer on the inhale and exhale in your own way. Allowing movements to draw into your body so you can awaken in your own way too. Being very aware of how you move. Giving yourself a hug, maybe washing those knees from side to side. If you're on your back, in your own time rolling to one side. Noticing how that feels. And staying where you are, or taking the next few breaths to come to a place, an upright place, where you want to finish your practice. Keep that awareness to the movements in your body as you do that. Find that rooting down. And lift up through the spine, through the crown of the head. The shoulders are soft and backing down, and the collarbones are wide. Head, heart, and hips stacked one over each other. And notice how this feels. Get familiar with the feeling of being aware of your posture. And maybe set an intention to bring your awareness to it throughout your day. or weak. Hands to a gesture of closing that makes sense to you. Take a breath in, and without changing anything from the collarbones downwards, chin down towards your chest. Take a breath of gratitude for yourself, for your attention and awareness today throughout your practice. From my heart to yours. Namaste.